What if everything you thought you understood about evolution was, in fact, not as clear-cut as it seemed? Picture the scene. High school biology, a teacher sketching out the tree of life, explaining Darwin's theory of natural selection, random mutations, the idea of survival of the fittest, a narrative of life on Earth evolving gradually over billions of years, from single-celled organisms to the vast biodiversity we see today. This, it would seem, is the accepted understanding of evolution. But what if this understanding is not as universally agreed upon as we might think? In the realm of science, evolution is a topic that, despite its widespread acceptance, has been a hotbed of debate and controversy. Some scientists, like biologist Erik Svensson, argue that the study of evolution is fracturing, with evolutionists themselves questioning key concepts such as natural selection, random causes, and common descent. Natural selection, for instance, is often hailed as the key mechanism of evolution, but not all scientists agree. Some propose alternative mechanisms like genetic drift, which emphasizes the role of random changes in the gene pool and holds natural selection to be of little, if any, effect. Another contentious point is the concept of common descent, the idea that all life on Earth descended from a common ancestor. While this idea seemingly forms the backbone of evolution, what is ironically called convergent evolution, which is rampant within biology, challenges common descent. For one instance out of many, instead of a single evolutionary origin for the eye is said to have evolved independently 35 different times. This throws a monkey wrench into common descent. As Casey Luskin explains, whenever evolutionary biologists are forced to appeal to convergent evolution, it reflects a breakdown in the main assumption of evolution, an inability to fit the data to a tree-like pattern of common descent. Then, there are those who question the randomness of evolution. They propose theories of directed mutations. James Shapiro, for instance, proposes natural genetic engineering, where he observes that genetic change is the result of cell-mediated processes, not simply accidents or damage to the DNA, and also observes that it is difficult, if not impossible, to find a genome change operator that is truly random in its action within the DNA of the cell where it works. All careful studies of mutagenesis find statistically significant non-random patterns. What becomes clear is that among scientists there simply is no single, universally agreed upon theory of evolution. The theory of evolution is, as evolutionary biologist Erik Svensson noted, fracturing. And this is not because scientists are disagreeing for the sake of disagreement. It is because the scientific evidence itself is forcing scientists to question the fundamental pillars of Darwinism, namely the pillars of natural selection, random causes, and common descent. So, if the core concepts of natural selection, random causes, and common descent can all be openly questioned within evolution, and yet evolution, for all intents and purposes, still remains standing as a scientific theory, what is the core concept of evolution that prevents it from ever being falsified by the scientific evidence? According to biophysicist Cornelius Hunter, the answer is naturalism. In his 2022 article, "There is no settled theory of evolution," Dr. Hunter states evolutionists themselves can forfeit natural selection, random causes, common descent. How do I know? Because it is in the literature. So what is evolution? In other words, what is core to the theory, and not forfeitable? It's naturalism, period. That is the only thing required of evolutionary theory. But, Dr. Hunter further notes, here's the catch. Naturalism is not a scientific presupposition. It's a philosophical, even a religious presupposition. This raises the question, is our understanding of evolution influenced more by our philosophical and religious commitments than by empirical evidence? The answer is a resounding yes. Evolutionists and scientists by and large, under the guise of methodological naturalism, unquestionably assume the philosophy of atheistic naturalism to be true for science. In fact, many scientists are openly hostile towards intelligent design in general and God in particular. Openly mocking and getting angry towards anyone who dares suggest intelligent design may hold some key answers for biology. But here's the catch. All of science, every nook and cranny of it, is based on the presupposition of intelligent design, and is certainly not based on the presupposition of methodological naturalism. From the essential Judeo-Christian presuppositions that undergird the founding of modern science itself, namely that the universe is contingent and rational in its foundational nature and that the minds of men, being made in the image of God, can therefore dare understand that rationality behind the universe, to the intelligent design of the scientific instruments and experiments themselves, to the logical and mathematical analysis of experimental results themselves, from top to bottom, science itself is certainly not to be considered a natural endeavor of man. Not one scientific instrument would ever exist if men did not first intelligently design that scientific instrument. Not one test tube, microscope, telescope, spectroscope, or etc. was ever found just laying around on a beach somewhere which was naturally constructed by nature. Not one experimental result would ever be rationally analyzed, since there would be no immaterial minds to rationally analyze the immaterial logic and immaterial mathematics that lay behind the intelligently designed experiments in the first place. Again, all of science, every nook and cranny of it, is based on the presupposition of intelligent design, and is certainly not based on the presupposition of methodological naturalism. Moreover, assuming naturalism, instead of intelligent design, to be true, drives science itself into catastrophic epistemological failure. For example, atheistic naturalists such as Jerry Coyne and Daniel Dennett claim that they are merely neuronal illusions instead of being real people. In short, if naturalism is true, people don't really exist. Moreover, naturalism also forces naturalists to believe, against all evidence to the contrary, that we have an illusion of free will, and that we also have unreliable beliefs about reality, and that we also have illusory perceptions about reality. Likewise, beauty, morality, meanings, and purposes for life also dissolve into illusions. Bottom line, in naturalism, everything that we regard as being fundamentally real and true for our lives, namely that we really exist as real people, that we have free will, and that our lives have some kind of real meaning, purpose, and beauty behind them, dissolves into illusions and flights of fantasy. Thus, in conclusion, and directly contrary to what many scientists have erroneously presupposed to be true, it would be hard to fathom a worldview more antagonistic to modern science, indeed more antagonistic to reality itself, than naturalism has turned out to be. The fact of the matter is that naturalists are adrift in an ocean of fantasy and imagination with no discernible anchor for reality for them to grab onto. To repeat, it would be hard to fathom a worldview more antagonistic to modern science, indeed more antagonistic to reality itself, than naturalism has turned out to be. In closing, I'll close with this scripture from Corinthians, which states, "Casting down imaginations, and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ,